Hello subscribers and first time viewers, welcome to the Kenny Hack. Today's experiment going to be showing you how to put images onto glass. Now these are just cheap little Hobby Lobby picture frames that were like $5 to $7 and then got them at half off, so they're like $3 or $4. Just need a piece of plate glass and any kind of frame will work. I'm going to be kind of going through this whole process. This was my first attempt at doing this and seeing how well the shading came through on glass. This one was painted black right onto the glass and the image burned through the black layer. This one was painted white and the image burned through the white layer. I was trying to do two completely opposite styles. But we'll get into all the how-tos and everything. Please enjoy the video, and let's get to it. So I already showed you a couple finished results of this method. Mostly just clickbait, hopefully getting you to watch my video here. Showed you a finished product of the glass painted black. This one's going to be of white. This isn't pure white. To prep this glass, first I cleaned off the surface with just glass cleaner, and then around the perimeter I dusted it with like a smoky gray, kind of a chalky paint to just kind of give it a little bit of a gray tone kind of here and there. I just didn't want it pure white. Just for artistic reasons. There's really no reason for it. Using this method, you can really paint this first surface about any color you want. And that's what's really nice about it. I think versus the canvas methods, I think this is going to offer a little more versatility of color, and you'll be able to get a little better background color in if you want to go do a background color other than something of just filling it back in with black, but we'll get to that part. So I dusted it with a little bit of gray around the edge, and then I filled it in with a layer of white, and then I started putting I blow dry it after each layer. Take a blow dryer and blow dry it really good. Give it 2 or 3 to 5 minutes blow drying it until it's good and dry. And then I put on a layer of black. Now the black is just on there. This is a satin black, just Rust-Oleum 2X satin. Just because black, the laser will seems to burn better burning a black coat instead of a white reflective coat. So if you choose a bright color to paint your front with, put a layer of black over the back, and I paint on the layer until I can hold the piece of glass up to a bright light and I really can't see through it anymore. It's blacked out enough that no light is, shining through it, and then that way I know I've got a consistent coat on, that I should be able to use my same laser settings every time and hopefully still get good results. Like I said, this one here, I said I want to do a complete opposite of the other. Like my first demo piece was the black one that I showed you at the start of the video, just to see how well shading showed up on glass. I wasn't sure if you like putting in an image from the back, how well the shading would transfer to the front. But I already showed you the finished product, and hopefully it turns out this is the actual start of the video. This is the image I'm doing. Now, if you watch my video on editing photos on your phone, I used PixArt on my phone to crop this to a 8x10 size, converted it to a black and white, did some initial image adjusting, and got it fairly close to where I wanted to. Then I sent it to myself through Messenger, brought it into GIMP, Set the pixel resolution to 300. We're going to try a 300 resolution tonight instead of 318 or 254. We're just going to see how it does. And I set my height to, or width to 8 inches and height to 10 inches, so it's nice and evenly divisible. And then when I brought it into here, it automatically converted it to millimeters. But we're not going to, so even though it's kind of an odd number, we're going to leave it right there. Then I went over to the shape properties, and I kind of plugged in my usual numbers, the 1.35, negative 15, 15, then 50 on the enhancements. That's kind of a general starting point I use. And I kind of see how the image looks. Like right there, you can see some different shading under his shoulder, and nothing looks really pure white, nothing looks pure black. That's kind of what I'm trying to stay away from. Try to have the least amount of pure white and the least amount of pure black. You kind of want mid-tones, is kind of what I try to achieve. From there, go back to cut layers, and on the black image of Han and Leia, I used a 4,000 speed and 80% power. I thought that image come out a little dark. It was a little dark, a little too dark shaded, so the laser didn't burn in quite as off as much as it should have. So for this one, I'm going to try 85%. And like I said, we're going to 300 DPI. In other tests, like I've always known that burning on the y-axis, on these 20-watt Orturs, the laser beam burns hotter on the y-axis than on the x-axis, just the way the focus works. And it also seems like running right to left burns hotter than left to right. That might just be a function of how my hood works and the direction that the air draft is pulling across it, but that's just the way it works on mine. So that's kind of how I'm running to get the maximum power out of my laser. And as usual, now I've like in the video ago, I was really intrigued about halftone. And if you can if you do your photo editing like in GIMP and something like that, like you can adjust the halftone and the newsprints to finer resolution. I'm still trying to teach myself how to use GIMP a little bit better and be able to do more with it. Right now I'm just using Lightburn, and right now newsprint gives a better quality than the halftone, even with the halftone turned up to its highest, the finest dot matrix. In a side-by-side compare, like on this image, the halftone will look better, but when you print it out, I had better luck with the newsprint than I did the halftone. So I'm going to stay with newsprint on this one. I used newsprint in the Han and Leia, and I thought it turned out really good. I was on a 318 DPI on that one. It was a little bit finer resolution, but just going to see if 300 changes anything. Just see how it looks. It should help speed up the burn a little bit. It'll save 10-15 minutes probably off of it. So that's where all the settings are at. And now I'm going to go ahead and get my piece centered in under the laser. All I'm going to have to do is put the laser under there, make sure it's focused. I'll make sure I'll use this button here. That'll set it to the bottom left corner. I'll make sure that's right on. This will go to the bottom right corner. Get that lined up, and then the top left, top right. And then I can hold the shift and the frame button, and that'll go around the perimeter. And like this is going to be an edge-to-edge burn. The other one, I left a little perimeter around it. I'm going to try to do a full edge-to-edge burn with this one and see how it does. It's still going to take about 2.5 hours is what the at 4,000 and 8 by 10 at 300 dpi is projecting to take about 2.5 hours. So if I was doing this for a client, I generally try to, like, if I can make about 20 bucks an hour for my laser time, and that's just where I set my price. You know, if I can make an 8 by 10 and sell it for 50 bucks, I consider that a reasonable price. And the material cost for this picture frame was like $3 at Hobby Lobby. It was really dirt cheap. The material cost isn't much. I might have had a total of $5 with the paint and everything else. So material wise, it isn't much. And given the different color options and things you can do with the different kind of spray paint colors, whether you fill in the background or just leave it transparent, you're given a lot of options with this method, in that it's something different than just black canvas. Because, I mean, the black canvases look really nice, but I could go to Walmart and have them print out any picture, a color or black and white, onto canvas, and I'll never be able to beat their price for it. They do it dirt cheap, and I just can't beat out their price with my little laser. But if you can do something a little more artistic by making a transparent picture where you could put like a little wooden, no frame, just a picture like sitting in a wooden block, maybe with like fairy lights behind it, or a little light bulb behind it to kind of backlight it through the transparency. That's like an artistic look that you might be able to sell to your clients. So kind of why I'm trying this method out over just the black canvas. It's just something a little different, and you might be able to sell it off easier than just a black canvas that this looks like a black and white photo. So gonna give this one a whirl. I'll show you once I got it all set in the laser and framed up, and show you what that looks like, and we'll start from there. So here I got it propped up under the laser. I found the bottom left corner, then I found the bottom right corner, got them pretty well dialed on, and then I hit the shift frame key. It might take a couple passes, but you can get it set up to where it's drawing right around the edge, as long as your workpiece is the same size as your image. So it's drawing right around the outside edge all the way around. There is, like, the frame I'm going to put on this is a couple millimeters wide, so if it skips a little hair, it's not going to be that big a deal. But say if your picture frame was bigger than your image, like say this is an 8 by 10, say your picture frame was 9 by 11. Take your square function and draw a square that's 9 by 11, set it as a different layer that you could center your laser up around the outside of your frame. That's a 9 by 11. You can drag this picture into it and it will snap right to the center. So if you're centered up on the outside frame, you'll know your picture is centered to your piece of glass. That's just a handy little way of making sure that without a camera, that just if your piece is round, draw a round image that matches the exact size of your workpiece. And then if your image is smaller than your workpiece, snap it to the center. And that way you'll always know that your image is centered to your piece. Now, also remember, since you're burning on the back of the piece, that you need to flip the image. Use this flip horizontal. That's the original image. You got to flip it, so when you're looking, you're going to burn this in on the back of the glass, so from the front it'll look the other way. Like pictures you won't really notice, but if you have any kind of writing on it, if you don't flip it, it's going to be backwards. The other thing, like since this is white on the front, I'm not inverting the image. I'm I want to burn the black areas out. So I don't have the negative image clicked. Now if I had painted this black and I wanted to burn out and my background color was going to be white, I'd have inverted the image. I'd have burned out the white areas, and then once it was all cleared off, I'd have spray painted the back with white to fill in the white color. Like, you'd have left all the black. And this is where you kind of have to look at your picture. Is your picture predominantly white or predominantly black? Like, this image is mostly white, so that's why I'm going with a white foreground. I'll cut out the black areas, and I can once it's all burned, I'll take some black spray paint and fill in the cleared off areas with black to put in all the shading. Now on the black Han and Leia picture, that was mostly a black image. So I inverted the image and I burned out the white. And then I filled it in with white paint. So that's, you got to kind of think how your picture is going to work, whether, you know, what's your foreground color, what's your background color, and you got to kind of plan ahead whether you're going to invert the image or not invert the image. If your background paint is going to, like, your second coat is going to be black, then you don't flip it. If your second coat is going to be white, then you do need to flip it or invert it. So right now it's all framed in, everything looks ready to go, the image is flipped. Like I said, with this one it really wouldn't matter, nobody would know the difference, but that's the way the original, that's a flip to the original image. So now we're just gonna get her started and let her go for the 2.5 hours, and we'll pick it up at the end. I'll show you how I clean it off, how I fill in the back paint, and go from there. Okay, we just got done with the burn. This is looking at the back side. It's going to look kind of like a photo negative because the white areas have stayed black, and the black area, the spots that will be filled in black, have penetrated down to the white layer. So now we're gonna clean it off like I did in previous videos. Just get some not any hotter than body temperature water to cool. You know, it's, if you get it too hot, it can loosen up the paint enough to where it'll just wash right off. So just lightly get a little water on there and just lightly brush it off. And then I just get a paper towel, kind of give it a little wipe down. I'm still going to be pulling off a lot of residue. Just kind of keep wiping it down until you don't get any more black coming off. So from the front, it's not going to look like much, but if we hold it up to the glass, like a dark background, you'll see that it did penetrate through. We'll see once we paint it black how well if it burned through enough. We might not have had enough power settings. That white subcoat might needed a slower speed with a higher power to burn through that white versus the black. That's something that's going to take some more playing around with, but we'll see. Okay, so the next step will be to, here you can kind of see up against the light a little better. You can see through it. Get a little more of the transparent effect. So we'll see how that comes out once I paint it black. So there's the finished result. I think it could have been a hair darker. Like compared to that one, I thought that was a hair too dark. This one was a hair too light. You know, it's all a learning curve. These are the first two pieces I tried doing of this. So I'll know in the future. I need to probably take that one from 80% to about 85%, let it burn a little deeper, but probably the same speed is fine. On this one here, I might need to raise up the gamma a little bit more and make the image just a little bit darker, and try that first. And then if that doesn't get the image darker, might have to slow the speed down just a little bit. But that's for being two completely contrasting images. The settings were pretty close to the same. You know, it's still a very good effect. Kind of just has just a light shade to it. You know, still very happy with it for the second attempt and trying something completely different than the first one. So overall, I'm happy with them. Please like, subscribe, share. Thanks for the support, and I'll see you on the next video.